We call to order the regular council meeting for the municipality of Monroeville, May 13th, 2014. First, we will say the Lord's Prayer and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Karen, please.
Mayor Arsenko, Mrs. Gatos,
Here.
Dr. Grieslock,
Here.
Mr. Harvey,
Here.
Mr. Johns, Mr. Clary,
Here.
Mr. Duncan,
Here.
Mr. Wilson, Mr. Little,
Here.
Mr. Dice,
Here.
Mr. Hugus,
Here.
Mr. Sedlak.
Here.
We're going to move over to public comment on proposed agenda items only. It's your time to comment only on agenda items. Seeing none, we're moving over to the approval of the minutes for the council meeting of March 11th, 2014, the council work session of April 3rd, 2014, and the council meeting of April 8th, 2014. I'm seeking a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a correction. On the council meeting of April 8th, the initial vote on the ordinance to pass Chief Cole's contract, I voted no.
Okay, so that correction will be so noted.
Yes, there was a little bit of confusion with that
Okay.
vote. So,
You'll make the amendment.
right.
Okay. Motion, and is there a second?
With that correction, second.
Yes. Okay.
There's a second.
So Mrs. Gatos made the motion and Mr. Harvey seconded? Okay.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
You need all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Catfish?
Aye.
Thank you.
Approval of reports of the tax collections. I'm seeking a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any additions or changes? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to the list of bills. Motion to approve the list of bills.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any additions or changes? Seeing none? All in favor?
I
Aye.
thought you said that already.
Nick, do we need a roll call vote, or?
No, you need roll calls on all the
Okay, good. I was just,
the ordinances and
Double-check that.
resolutions.
sorry, Mr. Mayor.
No problem at all.
Steve got bit by a catfish.
Thank you for checking. Budget transfers. Looking for a motion for budget transfers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And to approve the payroll.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities. We'll start down with Mr. Duncan.
I believe we'll do the zoning hearing. That'll be separate
No, it's right
Now
now.
would be your time to do it.
right
No,
now.
right now.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Bob Bell for the 3-year term on
Second.
the zoning hearing board.
I'll
All in favor?
second it.
Aye.
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 Mr. Mayor, I'd like to appoint Bob Stevenson.
That's all I have.
I'd like to nominate Bob Stevenson for the 2-year term on the zoning hearing board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything else, Mr. Harvey?
Rick Tarrin, I'd like to appoint for the 1-year term
Nominate?
on the zoning hearing board.
Maybe a nomination.
Yes.
Nominate,
Se-
yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything else, Mr. Harvey?
No.
Mr. Caleri?
No.
Anything for this evening? Mrs. Gatos, anything for this evening?
Not at this time.
And I have one appointment for the 7th Ward for the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board, Kevin White.
Second.
There was a motion.
Second by
And a
Steve.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. And we're going to move on to new business here. We're going to have a public hearing.
Yes, we have two public hearings tonight. The first public hearing is on a conditional use number 14-1-C Speedway. This is the time and place set for the public hearing on the Speedway conditional use application. Paul, is this you? Or you're going to be giving a short presentation of what this is about?
Are you going to handle these in conjunction with the site plan?
Yes.
and subdivision?
Yes.
Which is following this?
Yes.
So how do you want to handle that?
Yes, I want to do them all at this time during the public hearing. So do you have a brief presentation you want to make about Speedway? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we've gone over these projects both last Thursday, and they've appeared on various calendars before this time. They've been approved by the recommended by the Planning Commission for approval. Is that right, Paul?
Yes, that's correct.
And that really goes to both projects. So why don't you give us a short version, and then we'll ask the applicant to come forward.
Okay, this application is a conditional use and site plan, and also there's a resolution for a sewage planning module. I'll just read the description real quick. The applicant is requesting a conditional use approval and site plan for the construction of a 4,608 square foot Speedway convenience market with 8 double-sided fuel dispensers for passenger vehicles and 4 single-sided fuel dispensers for heavy vehicles. Property is located at the northwest corner of State Route 48 and State Route 130, consisting of 5.778 acres in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District. The Planning Commission had recommended approval with conditions.
Okay, and do we have pictures of this?
We do, and the applicant's ready to go.
Okay, is the applicant here ready to make a short presentation if the council has any questions? Penguins are on tonight. I don't know whether anybody's aware of that.
Can we bring it up on one of the TVs?
Good
Okay.
evening. Bill Siddig, representing Speedway, and we'll be as short as we can. I believe there may be some opposition, so bear with us that we have to make a minimum record. First, I'd ask that we all be sworn, if we could.
Anyone who intends to offer testimony in this matter, please stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and so help you God?
I do.
The floor is yours.
Mark, would you describe for the board, please, the activities that are going to take place on the site?
And let's get your last name, Mark.
Just state your name for the record, please.
My name is Mark Zimmerman with Morris Knowles. This will be a convenience store with gas station Speedway, with the drive aisles coming in off of State Route 48 and State Route 130. Be your typical gas station with motor vehicles entering and exiting from both access points.
Now, gas stations, it was already read into record by Mr. Hugus that the site is well in excess of 18,000 square feet. The ordinance also requires that side yards of not less than 15 feet. Are they in fact in excess of the 15 feet?
Yes.
And the tanks, the fuel storage tanks, are they more than 50 feet from any property line?
They are.
And with respect to the performance standards, fire prevention and fire fighting equipment, are they acceptable to the municipal fire official and readily available when any activity involving the handling or storage of flammable explosive materials is carried on?
They are.
Is there going to be any activity that would cause electrical disturbance adversely affecting radio or other equipment in the vicinity?
No, sir.
Will there be any noise which is objectionable because of volume, frequency, or beat, whether muffled or otherwise controlled?
No, this is typical gas station.
And with respect to vibrations, will there be any vibrations emanating from the site detectable without instruments on neighboring property?
No.
Will there be any malodorous gas or matter which is discernible in any adjoining lot or property?
There will not be.
Is there any air pollution, ash, dust, smoke, vapors, or other substances which would be harmful to health, animals, vegetation, or other property?
No.
The lighting on the site, how is the glare going to be controlled?
The light standard poles will be spaced far enough away from the right-of-way to allow no glare onto the public right-of-way.
So they won't produce objectionable direct or reflected glare on adjoining properties or thoroughfares?
No.
And is there, or will there be, any erosion by wind or water which will carry objectionable substances on the neighboring properties?
No, this has been designed to meet Chapter 102 E&S controls per
And-
DEP.
Excuse me, what controls are on site to control stormwater?
We have 3 rain gardens on the site, as well as an underground detention system that will control and meet stormwater management requirements set forth by the municipality of Monroeville.
And will those stormwater controls also assure that there's no water pollution that, as defined by standards established by the state and
Yes.
federal governments?
Yes.
Jeff, if you could come forward, would you state your name, please?
Jeff DePaulis with Trans Associates Engineering Consultants.
And you are the traffic consultant in this case, is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
And would you describe briefly for the board the study that you've performed, the results of that study, and the status?
Yes, we performed a traffic impact study, traffic impact assessment, which analyzed opening day conditions for the intersection adjacent here at Broadway and Moss-Side 48 and 130.
Excuse me, can you slide that up? Your picture? Thank you.
Oh, that's better.
As consistent with other studies that have been done in the corridor, we also studied the intersection to the east at Haymaker Village. We determined that there was no traffic impacts to either intersection where that would cause a degradation in level of service. We do have approval from PennDOT on the traffic study. We have received previous comments from the municipal traffic consultant, which we replied to, and haven't received anything since.
With respect to the scope of the traffic study, that was approved by both PennDOT and the municipal engineer?
That is correct.
And your study's consistent with that scope?
That is correct.
And with respect to the municipal engineer's comments, you've replied to those. Are you willing to comply with all of those?
Yes.
And with respect to PennDOT, you acknowledge that your access is strictly on state roads?
That is correct.
And that you will require the issuance of a highway occupancy permit, is that correct?
That is correct.
With respect to the study itself and the determination of the generation of proposed trips, both automobiles and trucks, how were those estimates made?
The trip generation was calculated using the Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation manual, the current edition, which is the 9th edition.
That would include the proposed truck traffic?
That's correct.
And is that a method that's accepted by both PennDOT and the municipal engineer?
Yes.
And based on your experience, is that an accurate representation of the anticipated traffic to and from this site?
Yes, it is.
Overall, the conclusion, the impact of the vehicular access and parking, is it designed to minimize conflicting traffic movement on adjacent streets?
Yes.
And in what manners is that accomplished?
We have 2 improvements, one on each driveway. At the Broadway Boulevard driveway, we will be constructing a left turn lane on Broadway Boulevard for vehicles turning into the site. And at the Moss-Side Boulevard, we are far enough away from the intersection that we don't anticipate most queues to stack beyond the intersection. However, PennDOT and the municipality have both requested that signing be installed within the site and on Moss-Side to restrict that driveway to right in, right out during the PM peak during the weekdays.
And the improvements that you're described, do they, in your opinion, adequately mitigate any traffic impacts?
Yes.
Just briefly, we're just going to state that, based on the engineering reviews that we're willing to comply with the conditions, they are noted in the draft resolution that was provided to us, along with other conditions of approval. And just want to note for the board that Speedway accepts all those conditions of approval, including complying with the engineer's comments to the conditional use plan, the site plan, and the traffic engineer's review of the plan. So we're prepared to meet all of those conditions. And with respect to the conditional use standards in Section 401, we conform with all of the conditional use provisions and the general provisions in the ordinance, the general regulations. We've established we meet all the special standards applicable to the conditional use for gas stations. And it's no greater impact than would be expected of any other gas station that's permitted in the municipality, and no different than anything you approve for any other types of gas station. There's nothing exceptional about this that caused any impact. So the site has been oriented to reduce impacts. The total environmental effect is consistent with and not harmful to the environment. And the site is otherwise consistent with the objectives of the ordinance and the comprehensive plan of municipality of Murraysville. Thanks for your attention. We're here to answer any questions.
I'd like to ask a question. This was said with conditions, Paul?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he answered all the questions to the conditions that were proposed?
Yes, those are in your packets also,
Okay,
as the
then-
conditions of approval.
And they have answered all those questions, so
Yes,
you're okay?
I'll just make one quick comment. To my right is Darren Meyer. He's the municipal traffic engineer from HRG. He did submit a final review letter. I just failed to forward that to Jeff DePaulis and Mr. Siddick, so the final review is complete
Okay,
and does concur.
okay.
Yes, gentlemen, I have one question. Joe, if you could put the map back up, if you could just, for everybody watching and looking, if you could orient us to where 48 is and where Broadway Boulevard is, or 130 is.
Sure. Moss Side Boulevard is on this side here. This would be the southeastern side of the site. State Route 130 Broadway Boulevard is at the bottom.
And then the left-hand lane that you're constructing is where approximately?
That would be to turn into the driveway here. We would be widening for the lane into the driveway and then continuing that widening to, we don't want to create an hourglass, so it'll just create a constant width up into the existing left turn lane at 48.
And then the entryway off of 48, is that
That's what I want to know.
adjacent to the bowling alley?
Yes,
Yeah.
the bowling alley shown right here.
The
Okay.
additional widening is if you're leaving Pitcairn and heading towards Sheet. That's where the left turn lane will occur.
Okay.
We'll be making a dedicated left turn lane to turn into the facility.
Where the left lane already is, it's just going to be made
It'll be-
longer?
It'll be
to get
back
more-
further, you know, like where there's sort of an entranceway now where they sell the Christmas trees.
Okay,
It'll be back in that area there.
Okay.
It'll be the left turn lane.
Behind Still City Steakhouse?
Yes.
in front of.
Well, it's behind.
It's on the map, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Is that small square there, the steakhouse on the?
Yeah.
Which small square? There's lots of them.
He's
Oh, right
touching.
there.
Okay, now.
Got it.
Now you know
All
what
right.
we're good.
Jeff, maybe you should point out the access point onto 48.
Yeah, the proposed driveway is right here. The left turn lane southbound on Moss Side to turn towards Pitcairn would be right here. We're beyond that left turn lane. This is the bowling alley parking lot right here. We are going to have a tie into the bowling alley parking lot and then access.
Are you doing anything on the roadway there? As
No.
far, no.
No.
So it's going to stay the two lanes
That is
coming down that it is now? Okay.
Yes.
Now, they will be crossing part of the lands owned by the bowling alley, but they have a executed easement agreement that allows them to do that.
Okay.
So they'll have to construct a culvert to cross the stream, because obviously there's not one there at that point, but they'll have to go through those necessary permitting process through the state to do that.
And you are going to do that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions, council?
No.
Okay, any questions from the audience? When I say that, does anybody have any questions? Just a minute. Does anybody have any questions of these individuals, or just, that's not the same thing as offering testimony? Does anybody have any questions of these individuals? If not, then we'll ask you to sit down, and now's the opportunity for anybody that chooses to offer any testimony on this matter. A couple people raised their hands. When you come up, can you just state your name?
My name is William Corner, and I am the owner of Still City Steakhouse.
If you
Okay.
could sign in, please.
Yes, I will. Okay. But I was at the zoning board hearing when this was approved. It was the traffic study done by Speedway is inaccurate, okay? I believe they stated there was 167 trucks. Mark, is that what the number was?
For your narrow questions, your questions.
160, I guess I would
Trucks?
have to defer that to Jeff.
Okay. That is what was put on record.
At the planning
At the
commission.
planning,
Board
correct.
planning.
My testimony at the Planning Commission, which is same as now, during the morning peak hour, during the morning counts we did, which was 2 hours, 7 to 9, we observed 263 trucks traveling through the intersection over those 2 hours.
263, okay.
Okay. And coming off the hill from Waste Management on any given day in the morning is 52, between 40 and 52 garbage trucks. On any given morning during the week, you got 52 school buses coming through there. AGX, which is located right across the bridge, you got 75 to 100 trucks every day. Modem trucks, which is also across the bridge, you have 25 to 30 trucks. And Norfolk Southern, on any given day, you got 200 to 300 trucks coming through this intersection. Okay? The other thing is, and I have videos, which yous are more than, if you ever see the tractor trailers coming out of Sheets, when they pull out of Sheets, they're pulling out into the oncoming lane. How is a tractor trailer going to pull out on a 48, making a right-hand turn in 2 lanes? No. I mean, there's accidents galore down there. And all it's going to do is impede traffic. We killed Walmart, 4 years ago because of the traffic. Back in '95, Monroeville did a traffic study, and everything that's being approved goes against that traffic study that Monroeville did in '95. I mean, I think everybody needs to retake a look at the traffic that comes through this intersection, and let's make sure it's a safe.
Do you think that this is going to impact the traffic just because they're putting the gas station in? Is that your concern? That it's going to bring more traffic to the area, or are you concerned about the safety?
It's going to impede the traffic that's already there. Okay? It's a heavily traveled road. And
You're
now-
talking 48 coming down.
Talking
Is that what
48,
you're worried about?
I'm talking 130 too. Both ways.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. A lot of vehicles go through there.
There's
But
no ifs, ands.
I'm trying to figure out what, by them adding the gas station, what that change is going to bring other than what you said about maybe the turning out of the gas station onto 48.
When you're coming out on the 48, and believe me, I come out of my restaurant
Right, I know.
20 times a day. It's a headache. But now you want to bring tractor trailers through the turning. I don't have tractor trailers.
Paul, has that been addressed at all? I mean, that's why I asked if that was being widened or we were getting another lane there.
This is a unique project where both roadways are state roads. So PennDOT technically has jurisdiction on traffic movements and how to handle the traffic. They've set the parameters of what has to be studied as far as they call them AM and PM peak hours.
Okay.
And there's a 2-hour block, and the AM peak hours between 7 and 9, and the PM peak hours between 4 and 6. Right, Jeffrey? Okay, I just want to make sure. And that's when, so they set the parameters, and that's what the developer's traffic engineer has to study those periods. And they submit their report to PennDOT, as well as the municipality. PennDOT ultimately has the decision on approval of that traffic study and how they can use their access points to both of those state roadways. They're the ones who put the limitations on the turning into the facility from State Route 48. They're the ones who give the permits how to use Broadway Boulevard or Route 130. So in this particular case, a lot of the traffic issues PennDOT has to deal with, and they've reviewed it, and they have given a final review letter.
Sir, can I?
Yes.
if I heard you correctly, and I'm not sure that I did, so.
Okay.
You kind of gave a number of the amount of truck traffic that's going through there now.
Correct.
A lot.
I have phone numbers that you can call and.
What I'm asking you is are you contending that this gas station is going to increase those numbers?
I can't say it's going to increase it, but when you have tractor trailers now making left-hand turns and right-hand turns, okay, it's going to impede the traffic that's already there.
Oh, I didn't know what your
Right.
issue
Okay,
was.
and that's what, at any given, at rush hour, traffic is backed up on 48, probably past Compunetics already. Okay? Coming through Pitcairn, it's backed up past the Sunoco. I mean,
But I'm saying I don't think, or do you think that is going to increase the traffic flow, or just
I
When-
think he's
when-
saying it's going to
it's
congest it
going to
more
make it more.
impede the traffic flow?
It's going to impede it, correct.
due to the
Now I
traffic of the
understand your
tractor
point. I didn't
trailers.
know.
And
Correct.
Yes. Is there,
Correct.
Paul, is there anything, I mean, it's state roads, do we have any jurisdiction over any of that? Do you have an opinion on it?
Well, again, they have provided that information to
Let
PennDOT.
me answer the question since it sounds legal,
It does.
okay?
Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem. We have absolutely nothing to say about it.
Okay. Okay. That's what I thought too. I just wanted to.
Monroeville doesn't have a thing to say about PennDOT roads.
Okay.
We review it. Our traffic engineer reviews it, but they still have jurisdiction.
I thought that because me and you have had discussion about some of the access points to places on Route 22.
That's correct.
And I kind of lost the argument because PennDOT approved it. What I was getting at was they weren't making the entrances bigger for trucks, i.e. fire trucks, to get in. And Paul had no say on it. PennDOT approved the width of the
Right.
entrances, and that's the way it is. And I was talking about emergency vehicles, not even just regular truck traffic.
And then HRG also did a traffic study, or they just reviewed what PennDOT said?
They reviewed the traffic study that Trans Associates had prepared. But it's the same report that PennDOT reviewed, HRG reviewed.
Approximately, what was the time frame of the actual study itself?
Jeffrey?
Is that the 7 to 9 a.m.?
But I mean, as far as the date, like which,
No, we actually delayed the study until the Trafford Bridge had reopened last year, so I believe the counts were performed in late October, early November, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, October 30th during the weekday, so yes, they were,
Can I ask what the count was from the 4 to 6 p.m.?
as far as trucks or total volume?
Well,
I
give
mean,
me trucks first, because you
I-
went 263 on the
Right.
7 to 9.
Yeah, in 4 to 6, we had approximately 119.
Did you include school buses and items of those, like you
Yes,
were
they're
speaking of?
heavy vehicles, anything, we usually define that as anything larger than a UPS truck, so.
Okay.
School buses, transit buses.
And you
anything.
only did this one time, one day?
Yes, it's typically accepted
Is that
practice.
typically how
yes.
it's done?
We
Okay.
collect it Tuesday through Thursday, which they consider typical midweek days. They're not affected by the weekends or
Okay,
make sure there's no holidays.
okay.
sir, I know we keep talking about this left-hand turn that you brought up. Are you're suggesting the left-hand turn from 48 and 130, or a left-hand turn out of the gas station from a tractor trailer?
I'm suggesting both sides. I have videos of 130 right now, okay? I mean, you're more than welcome to watch them on my phone,
I-
okay? I
I've
have
driven there
accidents.
many times. I know
I-
what you're talking about, I'm sure.
Okay.
And I would
Some
ask,
of us
I would
have
ask
been there.
council if, or even anyone on the floor, I mean, as far as, is it plausible that currently the Sheetz gas station's down there, and there's cars that are trying to get to Sheetz and trying to get gas there? Is it plausible that actually adding a gas station on the opposite side of the intersection would actually perhaps allow traffic to flow better, because maybe cars that were going to go to Sheetz now would choose to go to Speedway?
Well, they'll be turning it at light, Sheets where, is there gonna be a light going in on Broadway, on 130?
main
There's like.
Another one.
Just the turning lane, right?
No, there's already a light there for
additional
four-way.
lights.
And this left-hand turn off 130 is towards Pitcairn,
Coming out of Pitcairn.
coming out of
So
Pitcairn.
coming out of Pitcairn to turn left into the facility.
So that would actually be before the turning lane would even start.
That's correct.
Okay.
Anything else to add, sir?
Nothing else to add, okay?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we saw another hand. Anybody else?
Sir? He doesn't want to.
All right, seeing no further testimony on this matter, we'll conclude the conditional use hearing. If council is so obliged, you can move directly to resolutions 4, 5, and 6 and take those up at this time since they are related to this application and the applicant, if you're such a mind to do it.
I think now would be the appropriate time to do it.
I think so, too. So a motion would be in order on number 4, which is a resolution, in this case, framed in the fashion of approving conditional use application, number 14-1-C.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. This will be a roll call vote. Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
No?
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
That passes. The next resolution is a resolution approving the site plan application 14-1-ST for Speedway. And a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call vote, Sharon?
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
No?
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The last resolution is adopting the, adopting the Speedway sewerage planning module.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Okay, that concludes the Speedway matter. The next public hearing, the date and time set for the public hearing on conditional use number 14-2-C of the Sheets Incorporated. And again, the applicant is requesting conditional use approval for the construction of a Sheets convenience store and drive-through facilities for 8 pump islands containing 16 dispensers for passengers' vehicles. The 2.09 acre parcel is located on 4723 William Penn Highway in a C2 business district, zoning district. Once again, this affects the resolutions 7, 8, and 9 we'll take up at the appropriate time. I don't think you have anything else to say on this, Paul, do you?
No, you read the preamble there.
Okay, so the applicant's here, you want to be sworn in. Anybody that intends to offer any testimony in this matter, please raise your right hand and stand.
Mr. Dice, I only intend to call one witness, but I'd like a couple other ones sworn in, just in
That's
case
fine.
there's questions. So.
You get, that's fine. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Dice, Mr. Mayor, members of council, my name is James McCormick, and I'm the attorney that represents the applicant, Sheets, Inc. And as indicated by the introduction, Sheets is before you tonight with 2 applications, one for site plan approval and the other one for conditional use approval. Property involved in this is located at the intersection of Elliott Road and Route 22 in the municipality. It's known and numbered as 4723 William Penn Highway. It's located in a C2 business district. Sheets will occupy the property, assuming the project is approved, as a long-term lessee. And as a lessee, we've already submitted a copy of the lease to the municipality for review. Sheets has the ability to seek all land use approvals for the project. The property is currently improved for an Ethan Allen furniture store. Obviously, that'll be removed if the Sheets project is approved. The proposed development includes, as indicated, 8 multi-pump dispensers, which would permit fueling for actually 16 cars, because there's one on either side. A fuel island canopy over the multi-pump dispensers. Convenience store building containing 6,489 square feet, as well as drive-through facilities. The drive-through facility is something relatively new to the Sheets operations. You don't have one at the other 2 sites in Monroeville, but they have a number of them now. Just think of, in terms of Wendy's or McDonald's or whatever, you can order from your car. The Applications were reviewed by the Planning Commission at its meeting on April 16th, and the Planning Commission gave a unanimous recommendation for approval for both of these applications. They were subject to, each application was subject to a number of conditions, and Sheetz has agreed to comply and accept all of those conditions, so that they will work with the municipality, but they don't object to any of the conditions that have been attached to the approvals. As I indicated, I have a number of individuals tonight that can answer questions if necessary. I was instructed by not only the solicitor, but the zoning officer to keep it brief. So I don't want to call a bunch of people. I know everybody wants to get home and watch the Penguins, hopefully. But I have one witness that I will call, and that's David Master-Stefano, to my immediate left, to your right. Mr. Master-Stefano is an in-house professional engineer with Sheetz. He is the permit engineering project manager for Sheetz, and he's intimately familiar with the project that Sheetz proposes for this property. And as I said, if necessary, I can also introduce additional witnesses to answer questions either of council or citizens, if there are any of those questions. Without further ado, let me go to Mr. Master-Stefano and ask him to state his name for the record.
Yes, David Mastro-Stefano.
Would you spell that, please?
Mastrostefano.
And it should be noted, I gave the court reporter his card, so
Thank you.
I think we'll be we'll be okay with the spelling going forward.
Just call me David, please.
Just call him David, yes, that's what I do. And by whom are you employed?
Sheetz Inc.
And in what capacity?
As the in-house engineering permit manager.
And what are your duties with Sheetz?
My responsibilities are to hire the necessary engineering consultants to go through land use approvals as being presented here this evening, acquire the necessary land use approvals, and then acquire building permits to be able to turn over to our construction department for construction.
And are you a licensed professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania?
Yes, I'm licensed in Pennsylvania as well as Ohio and Tennessee.
Okay. And as a project manager for Sheetz, are you familiar with the standard Sheetz uses to develop properties?
I am.
And are you aware that Sheetz intends to develop the property known as 4723 William Penn Highway?
I am, yes.
And is that, you heard me indicate that that property is currently improved by an Ethan Allen furniture store.
That's correct.
All right. And the property itself, does it contain 2.09 acres?
It does.
And you heard me also indicate to council that Sheetz has a lease for the property, so Sheetz would be occupying the property as a long-term tenant, and that lease permits Sheetz to seek land use approvals.
That's correct.
Are you aware that the property is located in the C2 zoning district?
I am.
And are you also aware that in a C2 zoning district, a gas station is permitted with conditional use approval?
I am.
And are you familiar that the municipality has classified Sheetz's operation as a gas station?
Yes, I am.
Were you present on April 16 when this project was reviewed by the Municipal Planning Commission?
I was.
And is it true that the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval?
Yes, they did.
Okay. I've marked this exhibit, I don't know if we can see here.
You marked it what, Exhibit 1?
Exhibit 1, yeah, but I was looking, there we go. I've marked this exhibit as Exhibit 1, and I'm asking you to look at this, if you will, Mr. Master-Stefano.
Yes, this is a graphical depiction of the site plan colored to represent different elements of the proposed project.
Okay. And you, obviously, you're familiar with the exhibit.
I am.
And is this a colored version of the actual site plan that was submitted with the land development plans to the municipality?
Yes, it is.
All right. Can you describe briefly for council what we're looking at when we look at Exhibit 1?
Yes. On Exhibit 1, going across the bottom of the page is William Penn Highway. Going in a northerly direction is Elliott Road here at the intersection. What we have here is a 6489 square foot Sheetz convenience store, which is a drive-through model. Entrances are proposed to full access off of Elliott Drive in the vicinity of the existing entrance into the Ethan Allen. A proposed dive-in entrance off of William Penn Highway, Route 22 at this location. And then to the northwest of the facility, there's an existing right-in, right-out entrance that will be upgraded and improved and repaved. and that will also provide access, continued access to the lumber liquidators, but also provide access to the sheets at a full access entrance here, and then a continuation of an existing entrance, but it will be improved more to the back of the site here at the northwest corner of the facility. Centrally located is the sheet store, and front facing Elliott Road is a fuel island canopy with 8 multi-pump dispensers. Front of the dispensers in this corner is the underground storage tanks, which meets the setback requirements. We have employee parking here at the corner of the facility. We have parking on 3 sides of the Sheets facility, as well as additional parking facing Route 22. As I mentioned, this is a drive-through facility, so the queue lane into the drive-through facility for ordering is to the northwest here, and then pull through to the Route 22 side where the pickup window for the Sheets is here, and then exiting forward to the front of the lot. Up in this corner is the proposed dumpster enclosure, and that's it in general.
Okay. Let's move on to Exhibit 2, which is the front and left side elevation. And as I said, I'm going to mark this as Exhibit 2. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yes, this is generated in-house by our own design department. This depicts illustratively what the facility would look like. We have 2 elevations on Exhibit 2. The top elevation is the front elevation that would be facing Elliott Road in the fuel island canopy. This is one of the 2 main entrances into the facility, centrally located here. Windows viewing in and out of the facility. Behind these windows is an inside seating area, and then you have another set of windows here which look into our where the cash registers are inside the facility. These are also visible inside and outside through the windows. We have decorative fencing and outside seating as illustrated by these green umbrellas and this fencing element here. Facility is wrapped 360 degrees with brick, and then accented with a stone feature at the lower, approximately 3 feet plus or minus. Also wraps the facility 360 degrees. This bronze feature at the top is the roof screening for the mechanical equipment, and then the windows are accented with red awnings. The elevation on Exhibit 2 on this lower half is the elevation facing Route 22. Here at the right side is another entrance into the facility, which is on the side of the vestibule of these front doors. Again, illustrating the outside seating. Again, some decorative fencing. Centrally located is the pickup window for the drive-through element of the facility. And again, the same bronze screening, brick, and stone features that wrap the facility. This particular door is a non-public door. It's an emergency exit door for the facility.
Okay. Let's move on to what I'm going to mark as Exhibit 3, which is the rear elevation and right side elevation. Okay. Are you familiar with Exhibit 3?
Yes. Exhibit 3, again, was prepared by our in-house design department. 2 elevations on Exhibit 3. The top elevation is actually the elevation that faces the lumber liquidator facility. This is also an entrance into the facility, a public entrance. These particular windows, however, are faux windows. You can't see in them. You can't see out of the facility from those. But because this is a main entrance, one of the main entrances into the facility, and we wanted to give it the feeling and appeal and the distinction of being a main entrance into the facility, we've accented these faux windows with some back panels. Same window features as on the front of the store, and again, the same screening, brick, and stone feature of the other 2 elevations. And this last elevation is the elevation that faces the ravine or the agricultural department land to the north, and same brick and stone features, same elements as the rest of the elevations, and again, another non-public door emergency exit from the facility.
Okay. Are you aware that as a gas station in a C2 district that Sheets must receive from council conditional use approval?
Yes, I am.
Have you had an opportunity to review Section 401.14 of the zoning ordinance?
Yes, I have.
And are you aware that that section of the zoning ordinance contains the express criteria for a conditional use for a gas station?
I am.
Will Sheets comply with all the express criteria in that section of the zoning ordinance?
Yes, we will.
Will you also comply with all other applicable provisions in both the zoning ordinance and the subdivision and land development ordinance, as well as all other applicable municipal ordinances?
Yes, we will.
Okay, and you heard me state earlier to council that the various conditions that have been attached to resolutions that might provide for approval of the site plan and conditional use have been reviewed and accepted by Sheets.
They have.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have of this witness. If council has any questions?
Does the board have any questions of?
I have a question.
Yes.
Has there been anything done on the impacts of what this is going to do to Elliott Road?
We have a traffic consultant. We've done an extensive traffic study. We've worked with the municipal engineer as well as the staff, and there's been numerous correspondence and coordination and meetings. We do have a professional engineer, Chuck Wooster with Wooster Associates, who is capable of answering any questions relative to traffic.
I can call him as a witness if you'd
I
like.
don't know that we need to, Paul. Do you have an answer for me?
I'll give you a quick overview. There
I
have been
want-
several meetings between the municipality, PennDOT, because Route 22 is a state road, Elliott is a municipal road.
Right.
There was many meetings trying to come to a conclusion of how to handle the additional traffic from Sheets. In today's world, the problem is Elliott Road. In today's world, if you travel south on Elliott Road, it's basically one lane until you get to the signal, and then there's basically room for one car to make the left. The remainder of the cars turn right, a dedicated right turn lane. Sheets has agreed to widen Elliott Road to have a dedicated left turn lane and a dedicated right turn lane to accommodate about 7 to 8 cars in both of those lanes. So there's a stacking for about 16 cars total.
Okay, that's was my problem.
In addition to that, they're going to pay for some additional upgrades to the traffic signal itself.
Okay.
In addition to that, Paul, we're also extending the left turn lane on Route 22. So we're
Oh.
adding capacity and
Yes.
storage to the
That's
left
it.
turn
Well,
lane.
that's even better.
Right.
One facing eastbound.
One going eastbound, yes.
Right. In today's world, it's about 200 feet,
That's right.
and it's going to be 400 feet.
Yes, that would be coming up
In length.
to turn left.
Turn left
correct,
onto
the light.
Elliott.
Okay, I was really concerned about Elliott, but I like that answer, and I like also that you're going to do the 22 as well.
Yes.
Okay.
As far as the footprint of the current parking lot, are you staying within that, or are you expanding past that?
In some places, we are. To the north or northeast, we are coming in a little bit because we are staying away from that ravine. We're not touching that ravine. We're staying on the guardrail side of that ravine. Against 22, we are going into the green space that is beside the existing Ethan Allen for some parking. But down here in the corner of the facility, we're actually moving closer into the facility, adding more green space. This is a water quality feature down in this corner, so we've tried to enhance and add as much green space to the existing pavement that's out there today.
But no moving into the hillside behind there?
No, that's correct.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions by council?
No.
Okay, seeing none. Are there any questions by any of the public of any of this witness? Seeing none.
Mr. Dice, as a housekeeping matter, I would like to move
Admit the
exhibits
three
1, 2, and
exhibits?
3 into the record.
Okay, they'll be so noted and admitted. Thank you for your presentation. Is there anyone from the public that would like to offer testimony in this matter now? Now's the time to do that. Okay, seeing none. It would be appropriate then, as we just did with Speedway, resolutions on number 7, 8, and 9 would become relevant to do right now. So with that, I will indicate that number 7, a resolution approving conditional use 14-2-C of Sheets concerning the property located at 4723 William Penn Highway.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Actually, we have
By
to
roll
do
call.
by roll call vote. Sharon, please.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The second resolution is a resolution approving the site plan application 14-2-ST of Sheets, Inc., concerning the property located at 4723 William Penn Highway.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon?
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Okay, the last resolution is a resolution approving the sewerage planning module for the Sheets.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Okay, that concludes both public hearings, and I think you're now on to number 3 on the consent agenda, or on the new business consent agenda.
That is
Ladies and
correct.
Gentlemen, on behalf of Shipstation, thank you for
We thank you as well. Thank you.
Good luck with your project.
Reduce the price of gas for us.
They might do that.
Welcome for the third time to Monroeville.
Okay, moving on to our third item under new business is a motion to appoint Tina Mueller to Director of Technology.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And now it'll be time for discussion.
Yes, time for discussion now. You wanted to say something, Tim?
Yeah, about the proviso.
Okay, yeah. I see Tina's in the audience tonight. Would you mind coming up, Tina? So there is now a motion and a second to, I believe it says, motion to appoint Tina as the Director of Technology. You're aware that the attorneys have been going back and forth a little bit. I want to make sure that you're aware that the proviso that Tim is talking about is that there's been a motion to approve your hiring. That would be subject to the execution of a release and the withdrawal of any litigation that's pending with prejudice. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So that if that doesn't get consummated, this vote would be null and void. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Now, I anticipate that being consummated within the next few days. So, I mean, attorneys have talked, we missed voicemails for the last 24 hours, and I would suggest to you that we'll get tied this down in the next day or two, so that the vote that you're taking is conditioned upon expressly a release being executed and the withdrawal of the litigation with prejudice. Everybody clear?
And you are willing, you're telling us you are going to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And council has a letter that I drafted that Tina has signed. I sent that to council 10 days, 2 weeks ago.
So we had a motion and we had a second. Now we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Okay.
Can I,
Motion
one thing, as long as she fixes John Caper's phone, he does not know how to use it.
Yeah, you
Okay,
might
but
get
I
a-
can't fix John Caper.
Good comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Tina.
Thank you all very much.
Congratulations.
I'm glad to be coming back.
Next item of business is a motion to be a Friend of the Festival sponsor in the amount of $100 for the North American Martyrs Summer Festival, July 9th through the 12th of this year. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Dice, should this be done in a roll call or just in?
This could be just
Voice.
all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And lastly, a motion to appoint Sean Lally as the Chief Financial Officer effective June 2nd of 2014.
Want to make comment on that?
Yeah, I would like to give a little comment to the public on Mr. Lally's appointment. Well, we'll introduce him in a second, right after the vote. We had 16 resumes submitted for the Chief Financial Officer's position. The position used to be the Director of Personnel and Finance. Mr. Sedlak has taken over the Human Resources duties, and this position now will be nothing but finance, hence the reason for the Chief Financial Officer. As I said, we had 16 resumes submitted, and we started out with the Chief Financial Officer Committee, and we started out interviewing 6 people. And we whittled it down to 3, and council at the executive session this past Thursday interviewed the final 2 candidates, and Mr. Lally was chosen. Just to give you a little background on Sean. Mr. Lally has a bachelor's degree in finance and economics from Duquesne University. and he will complete his master's degree in public management at the University of Pittsburgh this August, correct? August the 8th. Okay, he's probably counting the days. Currently, he's the county controller for Fayette County, and he's going to be moving to Monroeville within the next year with his wife Jill and Christian, Justin, and Michael, correct? Kristen, okay, Kristen, Justin, and Michael, and we welcome you here, as long as obviously the vote passes here, which I'm sure it will. Okay.
All right, don't jinx it. Is there a motion to approve the hiring of Sean Lally?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Congratulations, Sean.
Congratulations.
Welcome, Sean.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard, Sean.
That closes our new business items. We're going to move on to the remainder of our resolutions. There is a resolution to appoint members to the restructured Monroeville Zoning Hearing Board. It was tabled from the April 8th, 2014 council meeting, which we've just nominated people earlier, so that'll continue to be tabled. And moving forward to a resolution approving the final subdivision, 13-1 sub of Wendy's Old Fashioned Hamburgers of New York Incorporated concerning property located at 5076 William Penn Highway. For the listening audience, this is close to the Murraysville border, the Wendy's that's up there on 22. And we have an individual representing Wendy's.
Good evening. My name is Tommy Morgan. I am a construction manager for Wendy's. I don't have any attorneys or any engineers. Hopefully, I can get through this quickly. Guys, basically, we want to tear down the old Wendy's that is at the corner of William Penn and Plaza Drive and put a new Wendy's there. Along with this, we've also asked to consolidate the lots. That would allow us to turn our building. Right now, the building's facing William Penn. We would like it to face Plaza Drive with the drive-through facing away from William Penn Avenue. As you can see, here's our site plan, our proposed site plan. The building is facing Plaza Drive, the drive-through's over here. We restructured the whole layout to provide more parking to our customers closer to the building, to provide better flow. We're basically taking advantage of that whole plat, if you will. We are providing stormwater retention, and we were granted Planning Commission, I guess, approval, if that's a good word, on April 16th. We have accepted all of staff's conditions. We're just looking for approval.
What was the reason you were tearing it down again?
It's old. So
You're doing this all over the
Yes,
place,
ma'am.
aren't you? This is just going to bring it up to standards.
Too much money. They have so much money. That's McDonald's is doing the same
I
thing.
could go for a Frosty right now.
Good.
myself.
If I would have known, I would have brought it to you. So just a quick overview or summary of where Wendy's is, because I know you guys want to go watch the Pens game. But back in 2010, we started going through a process where we wanted to activate our brand. We had been the same for years. We paid millions of dollars to designers and architects to come up with schemes. We built 4 different concepts in 2011. You may have seen the one on White Oak or West Liberty. Those were both remodels. That was one of 4 different concepts. This concept here and what we're proposing to build on William Penn Highway is what we're rolling out nationwide.
That's good looking.
Yes, it is. We're very proud of it. Last year, we did 200 restaurants across the country. This year, we're trying to hit 400, and again, 400 next year. So Pittsburgh was really not touched last year. This year, we've got about 11 projects on the books, and probably we'll have that many next year also.
Now, if approved, what's your proposed start date as far as demolition and construction?
We would like to start as soon as possible. Unfortunately, there was a lawsuit that was filed with stormwater that runs through our property that has been resolved. We're waiting for that stormwater to be repaired on the Fifth Third property across Plaza Drive. That was a condition that Mark, he would not approve or give us a permit until that was done. We've been working on this for a year, and we're finally at the point where there's tin whistle on the site and there's stone on that lot, so we're waiting for it to start. I've been reaching out to my attorneys, but I cannot get a start date on when that's going to
Is
happen.
the store currently shut down?
No, ma'am.
Oh, it's open right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And the length of time to do this?
I would assume it's probably going to be 90 to 110 days.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to strip the site. We're going to leave nothing. We're all curbing, asphalt. We'll regrade it. Everything on that site will be new. We're also going to add sidewalks along at the request of staff along William Penn and Plaza Drive, and we're going to upgrade the whole facility.
Any problem with disruption of businesses, traffic flow, anything like that due to a rip-down, build-up?
Not that I'm aware of, because
No?
we're going to keep
Okay.
the same access both on William Penn and on Plaza Drive.
Okay.
So everything will be consolidated on that lot.
Okay. Any other, do they have any conditions or anything?
They have conditions attached to the resolution that they got to comply with.
And you're willing to meet all of those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none, I would like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
That'll be resolution of the final subdivision 13-1-SUB.
That is correct. Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Cleary?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
I'd also like to make another motion to approve the resolution, the site plan application 13-ST of Wendy's.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good luck with your project. Moving now to number 10, a resolution authorizing the nighttime milling, paving, detours with full roadway reconstruction demolition work of State Route 286 Golden Mile Highway and Sagamore Road to minimize the impact on the high volumes of daytime traffic and to enhance traffic safety on State Route 286 Golden Mile Highway and Sagamore Road. We spoke to this at length at Thursday's work session. We also had representatives from the construction company at that time as well.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Next resolution, authorize the nighttime construction of milling and paving for the Coles Drive improvement project by the U.S. Pavement Services Incorporated to minimize the impact of daytime traffic and enhance traffic safety on Coles Drive.
I emailed council about this. This resolution was not on the agenda for the agenda-setting meeting on Thursday. Mr. Shufo brought it to my attention. And their project, as I said in the email, is beginning May 27th, I believe, and it'll go through June 2nd, and they'll be paving 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. for the benefit of the public. So
There'll still be access in and out of Kohl's
Yes, there will.
during that time period? Is there anything to do with that wall? Is that wall
That
secure?
wall won't be touched at all.
Okay.
It's just
Okay,
milling and resurfacing of the Coles driveway.
okay. I make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, Sharon.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
And number 12, resolution. I'm going to pass this over to Tim. I've been stepping on his toes. He should be reading the resolutions the whole
Hey,
time
you're
here.
doing a great job, Doc. You're doing a fine job. Okay. Number 12, resolution for disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal Records Manual.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Okay, number 13 is a resolution expressing its unwavering support of the Community Development Block Grant Program and recognize the program's significant and unparalleled impact upon the communities in this county, and further calling upon the United States Senate and House of Representatives to support full funding of the CDBG formula grants at $3.3 million, as well as
Billion.
billion. Did I say billion?
You said
said
million.
Million, okay, billion. Yeah, that wouldn't go too far
Yeah.
nationally. Billion, as well as funding for other critically important affordable housing and community and economic development programs.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And moving on to ordinances, this will be Mr. Dice's department.
Yes, thank you. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2614, establishing the compensation and personal benefits package for the chief, Kenneth D. Cole.
Seeking a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, Sharon.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Next is an ordinance repealing ordinance number 2578, which placed with the municipal manager the collection of all 511 taxes and other taxes, fees, assessments, and charges that are levied by the municipality, and reestablishing the collector of said taxes with the elected tax collector of the municipality of Monroeville.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Third is an ordinance approving an amendment to the Articles of Incorporation of the Monroeville Municipal Authority, increasing the term of the existence of the authority.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It was a good one.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Lastly is an ordinance amending ordinance 1798, fixing the wages of the zoning hearing board.
I'd like to make a motion to deny.
There is a motion. Is there a second to deny?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please, Sharon.
Mrs. Gatos?
This is an affirmative vote means that you are voting to deny this
Aye.
ordinance.
Dr. Griesbach?
No.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
No.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Moving on to our reports of municipal staff. Mr. Dice, anything?
Nothing further.
Mr. Little?
I do not have anything.
Mr. Hugus?
I have nothing.
Okay, we will move on to public comments. Any municipal items?
Number 11.
You have to come forward.
Uh-huh. Come on. You can do it.
State your name for the record, please.
Robert Serafini. I'm a resident of Monroeville. Number 11 on the new resolutions. You gave the time, but you didn't give the date. Can I have that?
Yeah, it's May 27th through June 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
And that is for Coles.
Correct.
Any other comments? Floor is yours. Please sign in and state your name.
Just for the record, I think the last time I checked, we were down 1-0 in the last.
Go shave your beard.
Believe me, I want it off more than you do. This is the ugly, uncomfortable phase, as if it goes through anything that's not ugly, but at least it becomes less uncomfortable. For the record, my name is John Yakum, and I do live in Monroeville. Deputy Mayor Grieshock, members of council, Mr. Manager Little, and Solicitor Dice, good evening to all of you. Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to address you in council this evening. After this council was elected, we were told to expect better things. The first thing this council did was fire Manager McKinney for a bunch of trumped-up charges. The next thing council did was develop a budget with the second enormous tax increase in 2 years. Our taxes went from 1.8 mils to 4.0 mils. This is more than double. Even with these two enormous increases, our police department is at its lowest manpower in decades. Even with these enormous increases, our schools will be made less safe by the proposed removal of the school resource officer. We were told that the increases were necessary and that future spending would be responsible. Then we find out that all the non-union employees and department heads were given huge raises. This was after the public was told that there were no more places to cut. This was after the mayor vetoed a police contract that held the line on police salaries, and this was after the members of this council failed to override the mayor's veto. And within those huge raises, we find that the spouse of a sitting member of council received one of the largest raises, nearly 13%. This certainly raises eyebrows. Would you not agree, Deputy Mayor? Not going to answer?
Public comment.
Okay. So to recap the first months, we have unelected members of council meeting with elected members to trump up charges to fire a municipal manager. We have council hiring investigators behind closed doors. We have public officials lying about the circumstances of that hiring. We have council members possibly receiving gifts of gold badges and ringside boxing seats. We have other council members telling us that how they receive gifts are none of the public's business. We have one member of council telling us that their decisions are made behind closed doors and that we should go to the park instead of showing an interest in our local government.
That's not what I said.
I'm sorry?
That's not how I said that. I
Oh,
said
I'm
I
sorry.
would rather you get your entertainment by taking your family to the park.
Okay.
But please come up here and speak with us at any time.
Well, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a council member earning significant profits from the municipal health insurance, and now we have a council member's spouse receiving nearly a 13% raise. I thought the people that elected all of you did so expecting more. Would you please comment on this, Deputy Mayor Grieshock?
It's public comment, not public debate.
Okay. Mr. Deputy Mayor, last month, Councilman Harvey made a point of addressing the Attorney General's audit investigation. He said that the audit by the AG was wrong. This dovetails with the accusations by members of council and the mayor that the daily investigation was inappropriate. I have a copy of a letter from Mr. Charba of the Attorney General's office that was never published in the paper and therefore not seen by most residents. The second line of his letter states, and I quote, "First, let me assure you that a complete investigation was conducted pursuant to the authority given to the Office of the Attorney General by the Criminal History Records Information Act, or CREA." He also goes on to say, in this unpublished letter, that he hopes that the corrective action taken by Monroeville will not be reversed. It appears to me that a great deal of the corrective action has been reversed. Would you agree, Deputy Mayor Grieshock?
Continue with your comments.
Within the daily report, the various people interviewed all seem to have had similar things to say. From page 20 of the daily report, I quote, "He saw that the CAD entry regarding the rape was displayed on the computer terminal." From page 25, and I quote, "They would hit the appropriate computer keys and it would bring up a list of closed calls, including fire, EMS, and police." From page 26, and again I quote, He learned that anyone who logged into the Alert TS system using the fire company's generic ID and password could review the police calls as well as fire and EMS calls. And finally, from page 27, and again I quote, said that the police calls could not be viewed when the calls were active, but they could be viewed on the fire company computer once the police calls were closed. These quotes are from 4 different people, 4 different municipal employees. There appears to be a pattern here. The pattern is that people who should not have had access were accessing police call information. I am not a police officer, but if I was on a jury, I would be left to believe that if the daily report was inappropriate or wrong, as some have suggested, either all 4 of these employees are lying, or the person who wrote the report is lying. Deputy Mayor Grishock, do you think Mr. Daly was lying in his report?
Continue with your comments.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, will you please answer my simple questions?
This is public comment.
You and others on this council have ordered a new investigation, predicated on the assumption that there were flaws or questions in the Daly report. Why will you not comment on your vote?
This part of the meeting is for public comment, not for public debate.
May I make a comment, please?
I'm addressing the Deputy Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, several of your colleagues, as well as the mayor and others, have said there are questions into the Daly investigation. So I ask, what kinds of questions do you have?
I don't believe I need to repeat myself on what I stated about what portion of the meeting we are in right now.
Was Mr. Daly lying, or were the interviewed employees lying? You do address and you do interact with the other members of other residents in this town. And so
I have not.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, is this the kind of information that you think led to Councilman Harvey suggesting that the Attorney General Office's letter was wrong?
This is public comment.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, was former Chief Pasquarella wrong to shut down this system?
This is public comment still, John. It hasn't changed since I mentioned it the last time.
I have a bunch of questions, Mr. Grishock.
Could we
I'm gonna
perhaps
keep
save
asking
some
them.
time and just note for the record, Sharon, that this is for public comment, not for public debate?
Was Manager McKinney wrong for taking corrective action regarding those involved?
You can continue to ask your questions.
It appears that the actions of Pasquarella and McKinney were appropriate and warranted, and you and others voted to fire her. Why will you not comment?
This portion of the meeting is for public comment.
Why will you not discuss your vote with the residents?
Continue.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, members of council, and to the mayor, who I am sure will be seeing these comments, it is extremely frustrating when the public's questions go unanswered. It leads many, including myself, to ask, what else are you hiding? You gonna answer my question?
I thought you were finished with your comments.
That's my question, last question.
Are you finished with your comments?
Yes.
That's my question. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Nice to see everyone on Game 7 of a playoff game.
Well, the good news is it's 1-1.
Oh,
Good.
Good.
That's good.
keep the beard.
My name is Patrick Monahan. I am a resident of Monroeville. And I want to talk about some things that happened this past Thursday at Citizens Night. Councilman Kalari pointed out that when he advertised the zoning board vacancies, he only got 3 volunteers. Am I right?
Correct.
I would like to respectfully point out a few issues I have with this. First, at last month's council meeting, this council dissolved the zoning board and immediately reestablished it with 3 of the 5 former members. It was only later another resident came up to speak that he pointed out that this violated the Home Rule Charter, and advertising of the vacant positions is required under our charter. However, with 3 members already nominated and seconded by this council, it was clear that advertising vacancies was merely a formality, and the 3 members you guys wanted, were going to fill the so-called positions. I don't think anyone was going to waste their time volunteering for that, because you have to send a resume, I think, and I don't know if you're interviewed or not, phone call or something. I don't know. It's a waste of time. You guys went through the motions, but your positions were already clear. I would like to also point out that you stated, Mr. Kalari, that you spearheaded the effort to discontinue the pay for the zoning board. And I think this was a good idea. I really do. Saving money is good, obviously, for the town and the taxpayers. However, I don't believe that it was practical. I think it was all political. Had it been practical, perhaps you would have suggested terminating the pay for the entire board instead of just remove 2 members right before the peak building season. If it had been practical, perhaps council might have taken a look at how much it paid the zoning board solicitor when there was no meeting scheduled and tried to restructure that contract. Instead, you guys used the excuse that you were trying to save money after you passed the largest tax increase in 22 years. You removed those 2 members, John Yacom and Ray Pascarella, political reasons only. John, obviously, because he's outspoken, and Ray because he's the father of Stephen Pascarella. I mean, that's how it looks. There's no other, you can't come to any other conclusion, I'm sorry. I also believe that 3 members on the zoning board is reckless in a time when we're trying to draw in new businesses who need their services to build out. Regardless of Monroeville having only 3 members in the past, I allege this was long before the massive business growth of the municipality. I'm 42 years old. I can remember when there was no hospital, no Giant Eagle down there, the drive-ins, there was multiple drive-ins here. We didn't have the businesses that we do now. I fail to believe at least 1 of the 7 members of our council did not concur with this or agree with the residents who spoke out against lowering the board to 3 members. I also need to clarify something else. One of them is Councilman Harvey's statement during his report about gifts. You asked, hypothetically, if you were required to disclose if your wife gives you a Monroeville Council shirt. The answer is no. Gifts to politicians is clearly spelled out in Pennsylvania statutes. Title 65, Section 13A10B defines the term gift, but the Pennsylvania Public Official and Employee Act lists what you can and cannot do as an official. It's also called the Ethics Act. Section 1105B lists what is required on your statements of financial interest. Subsection B6, the name and address of the source and the amount of any gift or gifts valued in an aggregate of $250 or more and the circumstances of each gift. This paragraph shall not apply to a gift or gifts received from a spouse, parent, parent by marriage, sibling, child, grandchild, other family, or friend when the circumstances make it clear that the motivation for the action was personal.
But you thought I didn't know that.
No, I knew you did.
We all know that.
I know. The public probably doesn't. So I'm sure you know it. You're seasoned at this. A lot of people think you're new, but you're returning. You're not new. So anyway, to go on, Mrs. Harvey is free to give Mr. Harvey whatever she likes. However, I do think that Mr. Yacom's questions last week do have merit. I don't know what a badge costs, but this time next year, any gifts that you guys get, you're going to have to make on your financial statements, and we're going to have access to that.
Depending on who it's from.
Pardon me?
Depending on who it's from.
Depending on who it's from. If it's from Mrs. Harvey, you don't have to document anything.
That's right.
Okay. Lastly, and I'm going to turn this 180 degrees, I need to ask you a question, Mr. Little, about the library tax. Since the referendum was started before you returned, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. By Councilman Erb?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was told by the library when I went to a very first meeting as liaison, because I knew nothing about it.
I actually don't mind a referendum. It gives me, as a taxpayer, a choice to
Well,
not pay a tax.
Well, I like it as well for the public to make the decision.
Right.
So.
What I wanted to know, because I was confused by some of the statements that Mrs. Fennessy said last week. Did they talk to you at all since you came back?
No, they haven't talked to me directly. The conversations I had was with Christy Fusco, the director of the library.
Okay. I was
More
just,
so.
my questions are, they stated that they're no longer going to get money from the municipality should this pass. Am I understanding that right?
Is that a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There hasn't been any talks, any formal talks about if the referendum passes, because we're all talking in a vacuum about what happens if the referendum passes. There's nothing been discussed formally. There's nothing been put into writing. It's all been talk. If the referendum passes, then obviously they get a $1 million of money dedicated to the library.
Right.
Now, they have said publicly
Yes.
that they would not need any of the $985,000, I believe, is budgeted to them right now from the general fund. They also have said publicly that they would not need any capital money, which totals about another $300,000-$400,000. And we put into our bond issues, we have 4 bond issues right now, and you never know about bond issues into the future.
Right.
That they would not seek, now they've said this publicly, not to me personally, they would not seek any kind of capital money. And again, there's also been talk, although I don't know if Mrs. Fennessy said it here last week, about that they would not need their parking lot plowed and salted and landscaping done.
Yeah.
But again,
Which
it's
is-
just all been talk.
Which is not much. It's,
Well, when the referendum passes, if it passes, not when, but if it passes, then maybe there'll be some more formal engagements about that.
okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to close with this. I have fond memories of a lot of Saturday afternoons spent at the library with my sisters and parents when I was a kid. And I truly appreciate the work that the dedicated women on the library board do for a long-standing Monroeville institution. However, I cannot agree with them on their needs for a $1 million increase, and I'm concerned about how it will be spent, and lack of oversight bothers me tremendously. Unfortunately, I don't believe that they would ever give any of the money back, because in politics, it just doesn't happen. They'll find a way to spend the money. So I think it's important that all my fellow residents remember to vote next Tuesday, because this referendum will affect us all. Lots of people choose not to vote in the primary, and I think the library board counted on that. But we need to vote, and this is one of the few times we can choose to pay or not to pay a tax increase. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I have a comment. John, your questions that you had, pardon me? No, I'm not gonna ask you a question, I'm just gonna make a comment. If I could get a copy of your questions, okay? And anything dealing with administration, budget, if you wanna call my secretary, Dara, set up a meeting, we'll sit down and talk about it. And I'll answer your questions.
If I could also make a comment, I tried to speak with you, as you're saying that no one will talk to you. I tried to say to you, if you had stayed last week at the end of the meeting, I said that when the report from CSI was made available to us, okay, bring up bits and pieces of the,
Okay, here we go.
I wasn't here in the fall.
Yes, you were.
Linda.
Oh, in the autumn.
Mrs. Gatos, Mr. Yakem, if we could,
Debating.
Can we talk? You want to talk?
No?
you can talk after the
Okay,
meeting.
I'll
That
just
is-
finish my comment of, I just ask that you wait till the report is done, and then we will all come to the same conclusions together. Okay?
You sat in the audience right near me
Okay.
all last fall, wanting to see the daily report.
Correct,
The daily report's out there.
correct.
Why will this municipality not release it?
When the other report is out, then we will have something to compare to so that we're not coming
What
to
makes you think that there's
conclusions.
anything flawed with the daily
That's all I
report?
wanted to say. I don't want to sit and debate, I just wanted
Mr.
to
Yakem-
answer you.
Mrs. Gatos, Mr.
done.
Yakem, if you have any other comments, this is your time to comment. This is public comment.
I'll continue my comments. Mrs. Gatos, if you, the daily report, which you, I assume, have seen, I assume you've seen the daily report?
as you have.
Have you read it?
Yes.
Okay. What made you vote, what makes you think there's flaws in that report? What did Mr. Daly say in that report that you think is flawed?
That is going to be a legal, I think that would be a legal as to.
But you've asked me the question, so I'm now asking you the
No,
question.
I-
You want to
I was
discuss
making
this
a
with me?
Okay.
Mrs. Gatos, I would please ask that you hold to the fact that this is public comment, and let Mr. Yakem finish any comments that he may have.
So it was okay that Mr. Little engaged Mr. Moynihan?
I was, before this became debate. Once again, I said initially this was for public comment, not for public debate. And actually, whenever you were going to come up to engage with Mr. Little, he was just commenting to you. Mr. Little, it's within his...
Gentlemen, usually, if we're going to have a discussion, allow the other gentleman to come to the podium. So that's why I came up to the podium to engage with Mrs.
I'm not suggesting whether
Gates.
you are a gentleman or not, but I'm just trying to stick to the order of our business here, our agenda, that this is public comment. Will I discuss it with Mr. Little afterwards, that he should perhaps wait till after public comment? We can have that discussion afterwards. But
Should make
it is
for an interesting
public-
article in the paper when you reprimand him for speaking to a resident.
It's not a reprimand whatsoever. Just reminding you and everyone that it's public comment. That's what it's always been in the agenda.
Public comment is about our ability to get information from our government. If we cannot ask questions and get answers, we have no choice but to file right-to-know requests. We have no choice but to go to the Court of Common Pleas. We have no choice but to go to the newspaper. Because you are silent, you are not answering our questions. You may think I'm a minority of one, but I assure you I am not. Your residents, the Second Ward residents throughout this municipality, who believe as I do, are contacting us because they are frustrated with the lack of answers. You did this behind closed doors, and then public officials lied about it. You fired a municipal manager behind closed doors with unelected officials. You trumped up charges with unelected officials. Public wants to know answers. And we, I assure you, are not getting tired. We will continue to ask our questions.
You're entitled to do that.
And it's frustrating that we're not getting answers. I would love to engage you in conversation, but I want it on the record. So if you have more questions for me, I would love to discuss them with you.
Thank you.
Once again, any other public comments?
Ralph Greco, resident of Monroeville. I want to thank council for the water deal they got. That was tremendous. I was so surprised to see it. You were able to get a deal like that. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of other things that you've done, but you don't get any credit for it. Mr. Yakem comes up here constantly and argues with everybody. You want to sit down?
If he's going to address me, can I address him back?
After the meeting's over.
You want to
Yes,
sit
it's his
down?
time for comments, sir.
Don't come up here and try to threaten me.
Mr. Greco. Do you have other comments, Mr. Greco?
Have we ever heard this man say anything good? Not one thing. You know, Monroeville is sick of what went on before. And all this guy wants to do is trash everything and bring up trash. That's not what the public wants. He may think so, but I've talked to a lot of people, and they don't want. They're very pleased with the way this council's gone. We have people like Paul and Mark bringing in more business when every other area is losing business. It's time for Mr. Yakem to quit. trying to harass everybody because he was friends with all those people. I think it's a shame. And as far as these badges, I've been in a lot of different municipalities, and the council people have badges. There's nothing wrong with it. We have Jim, who patrols our area. That doesn't mean that every policeman knows who he is. And he does that on his own. He doesn't get paid a dime for that. He just patrols the area to make sure there isn't any robberies or anything going on. What a hell of a man. Instead of us thanking him for it, we got someone like this coming in and making a big deal out of it. We don't want what we had before. We voted those people out because of that. Mr. Yeager, why don't you give up? Thank you.
At this time, we will close the public comment section and move on to reports of our council members. We'll start down with you, Mr. Duncan.
I have nothing to report this evening.
Mr. Caleri.
Try and get out of here. I do. Bear with me for 1 second. I just wanted to bring back up the Senior Health and Fitness Day, Thursday, May 29th. It's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The following health screenings will be available from 9 to 11. Free massages from Griesach and Morgani, fall prevention assessments from Independence Court, hearing assessment from Zounds Hearing Center, memory test from Home Instead Senior Care, blood pressure screening from Heartland Manor Care, interactive vision screening from Cedars Senior Living, blood sugar testing from Woodhaven Care Center, skin testing from Allegheny Dermatology Associates, and BMI testing from Coventry Health, Silver Sneakers yoga program, a tour of the fitness facility, and Dr. Kevin Wong, MD, will be there to answer any questions you have on any malady you think that you have or you need some help with. So come prepared with health questions, and you can discuss them with Dr. Wong, and everybody's welcome to join. So, I guess I've been quiet long enough. Mr. Yakum gets up here and you do ask a lot of questions. Please understand, we understand they're antagonistic and they have no value to us. Why don't I personally answer your questions? Well, before I was even elected, you tried to physically intimidate me. You've harassed me personally. And you know what? I don't care about any of that. You can sit there and laugh all you want because people do know the truth, Mr. Yakum. And I tend to speak to people that actually pay their taxes to the Monroeville, not people who admittedly make tough business decisions and not pay their taxes. So maybe your group that's not one, that's several hundred, should get another speaker to come up and address us. And we'd be happy to productively work through any issue with them. Quite frankly, you're very non-productive. I don't know what your end game is, and I'm not going to speak for the rest of the council. I'm going to speak for myself only. You make a lot of accusations. You make a lot of threats. You harass people. That's just not productive, and it's a waste of our time. Now, this will be the final time that I address you, Mr. Yakum, until you become a productive member that actually pays taxes in our community. That's all I have for tonight.
Mr. Harvey.
Yes, just for the residents that didn't see Thursday night, I had addressed, there was a lot of residents along Logan's Ferry Road that were concerned with a resident that it was consistently opening, burning. I'll just end that with that we addressed that. I think the problem is at least partially corrected, maybe not forever, but we did what we could do, at least for now. I had a meeting with the Logan's Ferry Road resident, along with Mr. Hugus and Jamie Story, to help solve a consistent flooding problem. I want to thank Mr. Hugus and Jamie for attending that over there with me and doing what we can for that resident also. Mike Adams, I wanted to thank him I gave him a couple phone calls on some potholes and some streets that needed looked at, including Marywood Drive with the trenches. He looked at them, he promised me attention, he's got them on the schedule. I realize that the Public Works Department is going out of their minds right now, recouping from road repair from the winter. So I would ask all the residents to be patient and give the road department a chance to get to you. I promise you haven't been forgotten. Same thing goes with the residents on Pondview Drive, same situation. Chief Cole, I had talked to Chief Cole earlier in the week, and I just wanted to, I didn't want to take his thunder, but he's not on the agenda, so I'll do it. Maybe this will answer some of the things that were just recently brought up. 5 new police officers were hired, and they are getting ready to go on the road and get uniformed. We are going to meet them next month as a formality with their families, but they are hired and getting uniformed and ready to go on the road. Chief Cole also informed me that he just recently completed testing for the promotion of corporal. As soon as that process is done through the rest of the phases it has to go through, that'll put more supervisors out there, thus cutting back on supervisory overtime. And last but not least, he's told me he's getting ready to start the process to add detectives to the investigative division. Kudos to all that. I want to welcome our new finance director, Mr. Lally. Once again, I thought he interviewed very well. His credentials looked very good. I welcome him to Monroeville, and I was very impressed by what I read and heard from him when we interviewed. As far as the comment that the resident had on the school resource officer, it is my understanding that Gateway School Board does not want the second officer. So why it keeps getting laid on us, I don't know, but they have told me, I've asked several of them, they are not willing to go half and half with us on a second officer or pay for him in full.
Mr. Steubenport.
So it is not, I don't know why it's being laid on us, but we have talked to the school board, several of them, and they're not asking for a second officer. The end of the school year is just around the corner here. I guess that'll give us a summer to figure out what we're going to do for the new school year. Sorry, guys. The Attorney General's office, everybody up here knows how I feel. Again, the resident made mention of a letter that I'm not aware of. To this day, I will challenge the Attorney General's office that they never came in and made that investigation, and I stand by what I say. That's just all there is to it. They can respond to it, not respond to it, whatever they want to do. Mr. Manahan was up here, and I'm over the past several months had made comment that he liked the majority in the previous council. He supported the previous council, and he believed that residents have the right to come up here and vote, or not vote, but talk and address council and watch what we do. There's the one thing I do agree with him on. However, I wonder if he knows that the previous council, in my 59 years of being a resident here, and 40 years or so are coming up here, if he realizes that that's the only council that I ever saw, ever, shut a resident off during his presentation and adjourn the meeting. I'm done.
Mrs. Gatos.
Yes. I'll start out with something good. There was a letter sent out from the Monroeville situation that had happened out with the stabbing. This was sent to all of our fire stations, thanking them for their service, as well as Mr. Harvey had read one that was sent out for the police department, and I just wanted to make you all aware of this. and it states, on April 9, 2014, we were faced with a dispatch that none of us ever want to hear, multiple stabbing victims at our local high school. This incident caused 31 injuries, of which 23 were transported to local hospitals. The initial scene assessment showed numbers much higher than this due to the amount of students that had shared their classmates' injury evidence on their clothing. This incident elevated beyond our local resources, leading us to reach out to our neighboring EMS services for assistance. Your service was one of these services that responded to the incident. Within the first 26 minutes of this incident, 25 patients were triaged and 23 were transported. The remaining patients were treated on scene with minor injuries and not transported. Since this incident, I have received emails, phone calls, and mail from services all over the country checking on the crew's well-being and congratulating us on a successful incident. One of the questions that has been repeatedly asked in this correspondence was, how did you manage such a successful scene? My reply has been the same to all. Have the same services respond that assisted us on this incident. As the EMS incident commander for this incident, I could not ask for more cooperation, professionalism, and respect from any responder as I did for this incident. I cannot thank you and your staff enough for your assistance you provided us on this date, and if you ever need anything from us, please do not hesitate to call. Sincerely, J. Dariak Gurano, the Administrative Director. So I think this once again proves that us working with each other is appreciated and is needed, and that they would be here for us and we have been there for them, and I think that's a continued thing that's been going on for a long time, and I hope it continues even further. Next, hopefully welcome back, Tina. Also, welcome you onto our staff. We look forward to working with you. Let's move in our route to move forward. I welcome you on that. If I could please address a few of the comments made. I do not know where Mr. Yakem is getting a secret letter from the AG's office that nobody else seems to be aware of unless I'm missing something. I don't know if he's getting confidential letters sent directly to him, but I certainly have not received any other. As the councilwoman here in Monroeville, I've received nothing else from the AG's office. So if you would like to make that public, that would be wonderful, so that everybody in Monroeville can also see that letter. I try to address you in a respectful manner, just to reiterate what I said last week, that as soon as we get this all put together, we would be happy to present and then come to your own conclusions. You kind of got a little, as far as I'm concerned, my own personal opinion, you got a little aggressive and wanted to get into a debate with me, and I apologize to the public that it got to that point. I should have not. I should have just sat back. I apologize if I fueled that whatsoever, but I was trying to help with the situation of making Mr. Yakem feel that somebody was listening and willing to respond, but you went into a debate mode, and I'm sorry, but that I can't do that with you. I can't debate that like that. So I apologize for that, if that didn't look well. I'm sorry. And other than that, that's all I have for this evening.
Very good. I'm going to make some comments now. Regarding the budget that was proposed last year with the previous manager, I want to point out that within that budget, there were 22 employees that were removed from that budget, which actually included 2 police officers in removal from the budget line item. And then also in that budget, there was a retirement incentive program, which was for a select group of employees. But that is an old budget. We've passed a new budget. And moving forward, talking about budget, we talked about the SRO position. Mr. Harvey mentioned it briefly, that there was an intergovernmental meeting a few weeks back with the school board. I believe Chief Cole was there, Mr. Little, some other school board representatives, and it's my understanding that the school board was not interested or unable to pay the 50% of the salary for the second SRO position. That was always the agreement. The first SRO position, which has been there for years, they do pay 50%. Monroeville pays 50%. Gateway School District pays 50%. He is stationed at the high school, and he has for years. He has been on his own for the past several years, 3 or 4 years. In addition to that, the school district does employ approximately 5 security guards at the different schools. The second SRO position, Gateway School District's not interested in paying, or maybe not interested, but unable to pay the 50%. Monroeville has been paying 100% of that salary since that position was enacted to the school board. What I would like to see is over the summertime, now, this SRO position will remain, both SRO positions, it's my understanding, will remain in effect throughout the remainder of the school year here. But what I would like to ask council and the intergovernmental committee to meet with the school board and sit down and see if this is the best practice. Is it a matter of money, or is it actually the best decision as far as like best security, best police management of that situation? Do they have things covered? Do they feel they have things covered? Because if it's about money, then I believe that Monroeville and Gateway needs to figure out something. It's my also understanding that Pitcairn is interested in placing money or an officer in the school district. Perhaps something else could be worked out with them, where maybe it's a 33% split for all 3 communities to get a second SRO. But I would encourage council to discuss this over the summer and ultimately do what's best for the safety of our schools and the safety of our school children. But at this point, Monroeville is willing to pay the 50% for that officer. It is not coming from us, as Mr. Harvey suggested. So if we could, once again, there will be 2 SROs until the end of the school year. During the summertime, we'll have time, hopefully, to figure this all out and figure out what's best for everyone and make things happen before the fall begins with the new school year. I also, too, would like to congratulate Mrs. Mueller and welcome her back. And Mr. Lally, congratulations to you, and we look forward to working with you. Very important position. We hope to have you get in there as quickly as possible. Very good. And Tina, your position is very important as well. IT is only growing, and we definitely require more hands on deck as far as IT goes, and that's just a no-brainer, whether it's a municipality or any business. IT is a growing field, and we need as much help as we can get.
My email's not working.
Lastly, the Election Day is next Tuesday, May 20th. There's certainly been a lot of discussion about the library referendum. For once these difficult decisions are not in council's hands, they are in the taxpayers' hands, the voters' hands, and therefore, as far as a referendum being there, I think it's the ideal way of figuring things out. Personally, I support the library, as I have supported the other, what some may call non-essential services in Monroeville, the senior center, the Parks and Recreation Department, some other leisure learning departments. But I feel that we should be funding all of those departments through our regular municipal budget, our regular real estate tax, as we have been for years. To ask residents to pay exclusively for an amenity or a department that they may or may not use, I feel is not the best way to go. Whenever you cover all those amenities from, once again, those departments and also your police department, your fire, EMS, your tax department, and everything else administrative for our municipality, you spread the funding throughout everybody and throughout all departments. Then that way you may have somebody that maybe never goes to the library, however, they do get their garbage picked up. They do benefit from our roads. They may go to the park system. But regardless of that, it doesn't really matter, that opinion of mine, because it's on a referendum. So I would encourage everybody to get out there and vote. There's certainly a lot of opposition against. There is definitely people that are in favor of it, and we'll find after May 20th how that all goes. And with that, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
Deputy Mayor, I forgot in my report, you reminded me, I was just requested one more time to announce that if you're a registered independent, you can still go vote on this referendum. You won't be able to vote on anything else, but you can vote on this referendum.
Yes, because it is a primary. That's a very good point. So independents take note. And once again, actually, before we seek a motion, I just want to apologize to the public sitting in the seat my first time for the regular council meeting, I used this gavel way more than what I would like to have. So, with that, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Have a good night.